Jotaro Kujo is one of the most iconic anime characters, but who is he modeled after? Well, after a series of interviews, books, and quotes, it's become blaringly obvious who Araki, the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, idolized growing up. And all this begins in Japan during the 1960s. When Hirohiko Araki was just a kid in elementary school, his father took him to the cinema to see his first ever Western movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, from which Araki became captivated by Clint Eastwood, saying that he commanded a presence that could be felt by him just standing. This image of an ideal hero Eastwood created in a young Araki's mind has remained unchanged ever since, through watching more of his films later on in life like Dirty Harry, Unforgiven, and Gran Torino. From this, it becomes really obvious that Jotaro was inspired by Araki's childhood hero, but interestingly enough, Jotaro wasn't Araki's first character to be influenced by Clint Eastwood. This would come much earlier through the form of Araki's debut work, a one-shot manga called Poker Under Arms. This manga, believe it or not, was also a western, following a cold-blooded, quick-witted gunman who gets attacked by bounty hunters for a large price put on his head. You can clearly see on page 3 a building with the sign of none other than Clint Eastwood himself. So, throughout the plethora of pop culture references seen throughout Araki's works, whether that be music, art, or stories, Clint Eastwood could be said to be the very first pop culture reference in Araki's work ever. So how did this influence lead to the creation of the character of Jotaro Kujo? Well, much later when Araki first created Jotaro, he modeled his stance, trademark pose, and even his demeanor after Eastwood, stating that just in the way he stands, Eastwood projects a commanding presence backed by intelligence and discipline. As a character based on that image, so too does Jotaro pose an intimidating figure just by standing with his hand in his pocket. Araki loved Eastwood's stance the most, modeling Jotaro's trademark pose where he stands pointing a finger, after Eastwood pointing his .44 Magnum. Also, Jotaro's iconic catchphrase, "Give me a break," was also partially inspired by many of Clint Eastwood's witty lines.
Being this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world. Well, do you, punk?
I mean, the reason Jotaro could potentially have appeared in the manga so much more than any other JoJo protagonist may be the fact that Araki just loves this type of character so much. Now, what if I told you that Eastwood wasn't the only influence behind Jotaro, but there was actually another? A classic manga called Babel 2 also influenced Araki as a child, having a protagonist who fights in the desert wearing a school uniform, although this character definitely does overlap with a lot of Clint Eastwood's many macho characters. With all this in mind, it could be thought that the influence of Eastwood and all the spaghetti westerns may have in turn influenced the entirety of Part 7 and the start of an entirely new JoJo universe starting in 1890 with Steel Ball Run. This is because Part 7 allowed Araki to write an entire Western JoJo part with cowboys, Native Americans, and quick-witted macho heroes. The character of Gyro Zeppeli definitely has Eastwood-like qualities to him as he gets in a lot of Western-style standoffs. However, the culmination of all this admiration came to fruition in 2012 when Araki finally met his idol Clint Eastwood. He had a long chat with him about movies and Araki's manga, and even got him to create Jotaro's most iconic pose. So from Babel 2 to Clint Eastwood's spaghetti westerns, it's really amazing to see how much of these influences shaped Araki's early career and stories over the years. Jotaro is still my favorite JoJo, and I'm so glad Araki created him the way that he did. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, and if you like what you see, maybe even subscribe. Anyways, thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.